I'm Leanne Durst from the Claybatown Public Library, part of the Morgantown Public Library System. For summer reading today, we're going to talk about sound. Right now at your house, I would like for you to close your eyes and listen for all the sounds you hear around you. Ready? Start listening for sounds. Stop, open your eyes. What kind of sounds did you hear when you listened? When I listened here, I heard the sound of the trees rustling in my backyard. I heard cars going across the bridge near my house. I heard the birds singing, so many different sounds. Sound is so important to our world. Our story today is about Cinderella and sound. The story is called, What's That Sound, Cinderella? The Fairy Tale Physics of Sound. In her story, she has a big thing to do with this broom. This broom changes things for Cinderella in the story. Let's find out what happens next. What's that sound, Cinderella? The Fairy Tale Physics of Sound. Some time ago in a faraway land lived a girl named Cinderella. Sadly, her mom died and her dad married a lady who wasn't nice. Even worse, the lady had two terrible daughters and they were super bossy. Day and night, all Cinderella heard was the sound of her stepsisters yelling, "Cinderella, sweep the floors! Cinderella, clean the cat box! Cinderella, unclog the toilet!" "Please call me Cindy," Cinderella begged. "Nope," her stepsisters said. Every day, Cindy listened to her stepsisters bark orders. She heard them sing their awful songs. "Oh, Broomy," Cindy said to her broom, "I can hear my stepsisters' voices upstairs through the floor. The sound waves are making the kitchen ceiling vibrate." Broomy said nothing. As Cindy mopped the bathroom, she heard her stepsister's loud dance music. Boom, boom, boom. The water in her bucket vibrated with every drum beat. "Goodness, I can even see how loud the music is," Cindy cried. In need of fresh air, Cindy went outside. Soon she heard a vehicle approach. It was a party van, blasting its horn. The horn sounded faster and faster as the van got closer to the mansion. Cindy watched the driver park the van and run to the front door. He rang the bell, and the sound of chimes bounced through the halls, creating an echo. Cindy's stepsisters flung open the door. "Special delivery," the driver said. "The prince has invited you all to a ball tonight. There will be dancing, food, and good times. Please wear your finest clothes." After his delivery, the driver hopped back in the van and drove away. The blasting horn sounded slower and slower as the van got further away from the mansion. Cindy ran inside. Her stepsisters were excited to go to the ball. She was too. "No, Cinderella," stepsister number 1 said. "You're not going." "No one wants to see you there," stepsister 2 said. "You look like you crawled out of a dumpster." The sisters hurried upstairs and demanded that Cindy help them get ready, and she did. She curled their hair, she zipped and buttoned their dresses. The stepsisters just talked and laughed and talked. Such noise, Cindy thought. If only someone could hook up their big mouths to a generator, the energy from their non-stop talk could power a small city. Soon the stepsisters left for the party. Cindy stayed to clean up the mess they'd left behind. I'm sick of being treated like dirt, Broomy, Cindy said, looking at her broom. Then let's get you to the ball, a woman's voice said. Broomy, Cindy said, you can talk? No, dear, a woman in the doorway said. Brooms can't talk. Her musical voice made the mirrors vibrate. Her clothes sparkled, so did her teeth. Who are you? Cindy asked. I'm your fairy godmother, Godmother replied. So do you want to go to the dance or not? Yes, please, Cindy said. Good, Godmother said. Then I'll need some things, dear. A few mice, a pumpkin, and a dog. Meet me out front. Cindy did her best to find what her fairy godmother wanted. She came back with 3 cockroaches, a pineapple, and Broomy. This was all I could find, Cindy said. Close enough, Godmother said, and with a wave of her wand, the 3 cockroaches became a team of bodyguards. The pineapple turned into a monster truck. Broomy became the driver. Whoa, cool, Cindy shouted. But won't I need a dress? I can't wear these rags to the ball. Done, Godmother said. Poof! Cindy found herself in a beautiful dress and a pair of glass high-top sneakers. Well, these are weird, Cindy said, pointing at her shoes. You're all set, Godmother said, but know this, my magic won't last forever. The giant clock chimes at midnight. Once the 12th bell sounds, everything returns to its original form. But how will I hear the clock? Cindy asked. I'll be inside at the ball. Godmother touched Cindy's cheek. My dear, sound waves can travel through all sorts of materials, she said. They can move through air and water, even walls. They might sound quieter or louder going through different materials. You know that already. How many times have you heard your stepsisters yelling and singing when they were in another room? More than I can count, Cindy said. Right, Godmother said. Sound waves vibrate the molecules in matter. That vibration is what you hear with your ear. I could talk about the physics of sound all day, but you have to get to the ball. Now go. Cindy hopped into the truck and was off. The truck growled like a T-Rex. Roar, roar. Now this truck is really loud, Cindy shouted, covering her ears. It sure is, Broomy said. Did you hear that sound? It's measured in decibels. The higher the decibel number, the louder the sound is. I learned that from your fairy godmother. How many decibels does this truck make? Cindy asked. About 100 or so, Broomy answered. Levels this high are really not good for your hearing. What? Cindy shouted. Broomy smiled. Exactly, he said. Cindy had a blast at the ball. She met important people and ate fancy food. Everyone thought she was an amazing dancer. She told the best jokes, too. Who was that? Stepsister 1 asked, pointing at Cindy. I have no idea, Stepsister 2 said. Cindy smiled. Even her stepsisters didn't recognize her. The prince asked her to dance, and she did. You're a great dancer, the prince said. Hey, thanks, Cindy said. You're pretty good, too. The two danced and danced until gong! The giant clock started to chime. Midnight. Sound waves traveled from the clock tower across the street and through the castle walls. Cindy's outer ear caught the sound. Her eardrum vibrated. The vibrations then moved to 3 tiny bones, which pushed the sound to her inner ear. There the vibrations entered a small curled tube and turned into electrical signals. Almost instantly, the signals zoomed to Sydney's brain and told her what she'd just heard. The bell, Cindy cried. I hear the bell. Time to go. Gong, gong, gong. The prince watched as Cindy quickly grabbed her things. Gong, gong. Where are you going? The prince asked. I have to get home, Cindy cried. It's late. Gong. The stepsisters couldn't believe anyone would leave the prince alone on the dance floor. Who was the mystery girl with the amazing dance moves and sharp fashion sense? Gong. Wait, I don't even know your name, the prince shouted. No time, Cindy said. Everyone in the ballroom watched as Cindy ran out the door. Gong, gong! She hopped in the monster truck and it roared down the street. All that was left behind was one glass high-top sneaker. Gong! Gong! Cindy ran out of time. The monster truck turned back into a pineapple. Her driver became a broom again. The bodyguards were cockroaches once more. Even Cindy's beautiful clothes were turned back into rags. When she finally got home, her rotten stepsisters were already there. "You missed a great time," Cinderella, stepsister 1 said, flipping her hair. "Such a great time," stepsister 2 said. "But I bet you had more fun playing with your pineapple and broom. Ha!" "Oh, I had fun," Cindy said to herself. The next morning, everyone on the news was talking about the ball and the mystery woman. "She was the coolest," stepsister 1 said, her eyes glued to the TV. "Oh, and those dance moves," stepsister 2 said. Cindy smiled. She watched as a camera crew followed the prince to different homes in town. He carried a glass high-top sneaker in his hand. "My shoes," Cindy said too quietly for her stepsisters to hear. "He's having every girl in town try on that shoe," stepsister 1 said. "If it fits, she must be it," stepsister 2 said. A short time later, knock, knock, knock. It was the prince, followed by a news crew. "Good afternoon, ladies," the prince said. "I'm looking for the woman of my dreams." The stepsisters squealed and grabbed the shoe from the prince's hand. Each of them tried to put it on. It was much too small. Cindy quietly dusted the piano. By accident, she bumped one of the piano keys. The musical note echoed throughout the mansion. "What about you?" the prince asked, pointing at Cindy. At first, the stepsisters laughed. Then they screamed. Cindy easily slipped the high-top sneaker on her foot. It fit perfectly, and just like that, Cindy magically turned back into the girl from the ball. "You're the one," the prince said with a smile. "Want to live happily ever after?" "You know," Cindy said, "I like the way that sounds." For part of our story time today, I've taken 2 different solo cups and a rubber band and saran wrap, and I have made them so we can test some things about sound. As you can see, each of these glasses are exactly the same size. I took some rice from my cupboard, and I took the same amount in each bowl. We're going to try a little experiment. If the wind doesn't blow it away. I'm going to put some rice on here. Now, I put this much rice on here, and I'm going to do this. Do you see what's going on with the rice? The vibration from my hand is causing the rice to move, just like sound. Let's try something a little different. Let's take the other bowl and put some on there. And I'm just going to speak and see if that makes a difference. Hello, hello. Nothing happens because it didn't have the vibration that we needed there for sound. You can make sound like that also by taking a can that you have at home and doing this. So it makes it almost like a drum. When you've heard a drum playing, have you heard lots of vibrations? Next time you hear someone playing a drum or see them playing a drum, see if you hear the vibrations. Our second experiment today has to do with sound and how sound varies. We have a spoon and we have 2 glasses. The 2 glasses are 2 different sizes, but what I did in this one was I put half a glass in, and this one I put 3/4 of a glass in of water. And let's see if what happens. So I want you to listen really carefully, be very, very quiet and listen as I play this one. Okay, did you hear that one? One more time. Now listen as I play this glass. Did you notice how the tone changed from one glass to the other? An experiment you can do at home is you can take Coke bottles and you can fill them up at different levels and make them so they are actually the notes that you would play on a musical instrument, and you could play your own little song according to those notes and the amount of water that is in your Coke bottles. In our story today, Cinderella was our main character, In the old-fashioned story of Cinderella, instead of the new one that we had today, there are mice that turn into special people in the old story. So for our craft today, we are going to do something about Cinderella and the mice. First of all, you will need a craft roll. You will need glue. You will need crayons. You will need either wrapping paper or construction paper. I'm going to go over the directions, and you can do this later. You can go back and rewind and do this with your parents. On the craft roll, you are going to take the construction paper or the wrapping paper, and you're going to wrap it around, and you're going to take glue, and you're going to glue down the sides there so it's glued onto there. Then after you glue it, you are going to take your hands and wrap it down into this part right here. And you're going to do the same right here. And if you want to, you may glue it so that it is glued in there very well. Then you are going to choose Cinderella for this one, because this one here is made for Cinderella. And you're going to take your crayons and you're going to color Cinderella. After you color Cinderella, you're going to take your glue and glue it on here so that you have Cinderella like this at the end. And then you could make it like almost like a puppet if you want, or you could just use it as something you want to set somewhere. The other thing you could do is you could take brown paper or gray paper and wrap it around the exact same way. Then you could take your mouse and color it, one of the colors that we have here with our crayons, and then you could glue it here at the top, and you could have a mouse puppeteer instead of a Cinderella puppeteer. And then at the end, you could do this number, and it could be your puppet. In summer reading, we've learned about vibration and how that creates sound. So the next time that you hear something, think about all that it takes for sound to happen.